Thanks for the invitation. Appreciate it. I'll introduce myself. Personal background. I was the organizer of the third largest Earth Day event in the United States way back when it started, back in 1970 here in Denver. And then I worked on a lot of things, Rocky Flats and other things for quite a while. Then I was hired by the Public Utilities Commission. I worked there for 15 years. I worked at the Renewable Energy Lab for 5 years, and I worked at the Governor's Energy Office for 5 years. So as you can see through that, I've been very involved with energy and environment, which is part of the reason I've taken the path towards this discussion about data centers. I moved to Los Angeles, actually Pasadena, was out there for 10 years, worked mainly on water, but also on energy issues. Came back about 4 years ago, and I'm working closely with the Colorado Renewable Energy Society, but I also work a lot on water policy issues. So I want to let you all know that the Renewable Energy Society just issued a big policy statement on data centers just a couple of weeks ago. I was the primary author on that. It's 18 pages long. It's got 25 hyperlinks. It's a very detailed state-of-the-art what's going on in Colorado in particular. If you're interested, just simply go to Colorado Renewable Energy Society and policy. You'll be able to get that. It's a deep dive. And if you really want to know a lot about data centers, particularly what's going on in Colorado, that would be the thing to go into. So it talks about all these issues. I'll be touching on these in my 10-minute presentation. There's a lot of topics. I'm flipping through these. I'm not going to spend time as you look through that, but you could get an idea just generally how many topics are contained in this data center conversation. So I'm going to start right in with letting you know what I'm going to be talking about. I'll talk a little bit about what are data centers, what do they do, and how much electric power and water is involved, and what energy sources are being used, and where are the data centers going in across the United States. Most importantly, what's happened at the legislature and at the Colorado Public Utilities Commission to try to rein in this topic. And then I like to spend a lot of time on false solutions because people tend to want to grab towards things I call the bright, shiny object of positive ideas in the future. But there's physics and economics that oftentimes stands in the way. So I'll be talking about false solutions. And then what's even a bigger thing for a lot of people is the concern with this AI and data centers topic is taking us into an economic bubble that could have cascading effects on the broader economy. I'll be talking about that. So starting, what are data centers? Well, there's different types of data centers. They've been around for a very long time, 30, 40 years. The small ones just used to be like almost a closet or a corner of a business where there were a few computers that were humming away and it was all internal. Then these people decided that they didn't want to manage all of that, and they just rented what they call cages inside these edge ones. So this is like a hotel room that you would rent, or you would lease an apartment building with your IT needs. And then it moved into these co-locations, which are a little bit larger. And then where all of these things I didn't care about, and I still don't care about. These are all small. But when you get into this kind of scale, this is called the hyperscale. The hyperscalers. So I'm pretty careful about not talking about data centers because data centers can be very small and very innocuous. And we've been living with them and enjoying the results that come out of data centers for years. It's just these hyperscalers that are impacting the energy and the environment in a way that is just astounding. I'll take you through that. So now these hyperscalers are massive, and the scale of this is just completely wild. What happens is that you've got military level security, little tiny parking lot. You can tell that by the parking lot is so small, there's hardly anybody inside. these are just computers. They're just clicking away. So you don't find acres of parking. That reveals that these things are not labor intensive. This is kind of a joke, it's like when if you visit a data center, you'll notice a few things. They're very cold. They're about 60 degrees temperature. They're very, very noisy, and you see very few people inside. Some of them are so big that this is a transposition of one big data center that's going inside of Louisiana. It's superimposed over Manhattan Island. It wouldn't be that tall, but that would be the footprint. Now, what happens inside? We're accustomed to this over the years. We have a lot of things that have been going on, but recently we've got artificial intelligence that arrived just not more than 3 or 4 years ago with ChatGPT. Now there's millions of people that are using it, and people are using it without them even wanting to use it because it's automatically shifting you over to AI. And they require so much more electric power to be able to answer questions. You used to do a Google search and it would only take so much energy, and it wasn't a big deal. Now the energy that's used in these computers is like 10 times, 20 times more in a simple Google search. So this is impacting the energy of the environment. It does these things, training queries, and these typical things that we're used to: storage, networking, database services, analytics, but it's also including crypto mining, which everybody's got an attitude about, including myself. This was my wake-up call. Again, when you saw what my background is in energy and environment, I have a pretty good feeling for how much electric power is out there on the system. That was my job description for at least 25 years. And when I saw this building out in Aurora being built, and realizing this one building uses as much electric power as all of Boulder, it got my antenna going straight up, saying, what is this and what is going on? And am I just going to sit by and not say or study? No, I'm going to find out about this. So that was my wake-up call. That was about 2.5 years ago. And so for this time period, I've been really focused on data centers, given a lot of talks, and have been on a lot of panels and so forth. They use tremendous amount of energy and water, as you all know. You're watching this. You're seeing that this is the news of the day. This data center topic is a very hot topic. Everybody's talking about it. It's a real big thing. And I'm going to tell you about Colorado in particular. They have to use electric power, tremendous amounts of electric power, and it can either be provided by an electric utility if they've got the capacity, and they don't in Colorado because Xcel Energy and our other utilities are pretty well maxed out with the electric generation and transmission that they've got. Or they can turn to what they call self-generation, where they provide their own energy. These are called behind the meter, inside the fence, or bring your own power. Oftentimes it's natural gas, or more accurately named methane. And this is just throwing carbon dioxide and other pollutants right up into our air. And that's how many more of them nowadays are powering up, instead of using the utility electric power, because there's just not that much capacity within the electric power system. What concerns us is that a lot of us on this call and around the state have worked hard to try to get a handle on the climate change problem, and by backing off on greenhouse gases, and with these gas power plants being put on it, that's just throwing more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And so a lot of our goals are being challenged if we invite these data centers into the state. Now, nationally, where are they going? Well, most of them are in the Washington, D.C. area, and the reason for that is the tremendous amount of government opportunities to use AI there. But there's cables that run across to Europe under the Atlantic. Lots of AI activity that's going on inside Europe is actually being generated in data centers in the Washington, D.C. area. As you can see, there's not much out here where we live. there's just a few, and I'll be talking about those in a minute. But we are not destined to be the big data center area. We don't have the population. We have an environmental ethic in Colorado that they don't have in Wyoming or Utah or somewhere else. So these data centers, they don't want to fight people like you and I. They just go somewhere else. So that means we have to fight hard to make sure that they don't come down. And I'll be talking about that. The other thing is, like, if you look at the 30 biggest states in the United States that have data centers, you can look along here to all these different states, and one thing you'll find is that Colorado isn't even on the map. Okay, so this demonstrates to you that they're going somewhere else, and for good reason. Part of the good reason is that we're telling them, no, we don't want you here. Okay. Other places they say, oh, we want all the money and jobs and taxes and everything that you're going to bring, and they could go into states like Texas and find that there's a big support for them. Now, I've been very involved down in the Globeville area with these folks. I know probably a third of the people in this picture because I've been working closely with them, so. This is a data center that's right next to a park and a senior center and a recreation center. Absolutely the worst place anybody can imagine ever putting a data center. And they just plopped it in there because they felt like these people were powerless, and they've been subjected to everything from refineries and highways and everything else, that they'll just accept this. Well, this group of people are not accepting it. And I've been consulting with them and helping them in every way that I can. You probably saw this. Our friend Jane Fonda was there about a month ago, and this is our friend Harmony Cummings, who I work with a lot. She's an amazing person, and I see her as often as she lets me. Now it uses a lot of water. Okay, and I'm going to get into the water crisis a little bit, because water is a very precious thing, and you can see what's happening with the drought and the heat, and the situation on the Colorado River is such that it's a question how we could possibly be thinking about using so much water for these data centers when we're right in the midst of this water and the global climate change crisis. This data center in Globeville will use 275,000 gallons per day. That's equal to 800 homes. I happen to find a slide that gives you a shot of what 800 homes look like. This is how much water all these people use with one small data center, and that's a small one in Globeville. So it's just using a tremendous amount of water. I'm moving my attention away from data centers because I've done so much on it already for the past couple of years that I really want to get back to the water topic. So I'm all about this issue about the Colorado River and what's happening with that. And I'm sure a lot of you on the line have been following water for a long time, and you know that things are really happening on that topic. So that's the direction I'm moving. These are some books on my bookshelf, all having to do with water. My favorite is Cadillac Desert, which, if you have not read that one, that's the one to read. It's the basic one that was written about 20 years ago, and it tells you all about it. So I would encourage people to really pay attention to what's happening with the Colorado River. That's what I'm doing. This slide I want to spend just a minute on, because this is the untold story. The use of the water on the Colorado River is dedicated to these things: residential, commercial, thermoelectric power, that's coal and gas fire power, cotton, and then what humans eat: wheat, corn, barley, and others. Well, look how much is going into livestock feed. That's called alfalfa. And so they drink a lot of water and they have to be washed, but this is where it's at. And you could read a lot of these books, and unfortunately, these books won't even tell you about alfalfa. They'll skip right by it because they figure most people don't want to hear about that because of their diet and because of their culture. And so it's really weird to look in the index of these books and look in vain for the word alfalfa. Sometimes it doesn't even come up. So this is the reality. And so when you read the articles, you know, look for the word alfalfa when you're reading about the Colorado River. It's pretty weird that it's not coming up. So this is the reality there. Now, this is the one that we're facing right now. It's 100 degrees outside, and you've been watching the news in horror, what's going on across the world, Europe, Canada, fires, Washington, all over the place. And here we are in Colorado, where we've had the hottest summer in decades. We've had essentially no snow this past winter, and that means that the Colorado River is not going to have the water that it needs. And so where's that water going? It's going to cattle, okay? And where does the cattle is going? It's going into your diet. But you can't talk about that because that's sensitive, right? So what we need are cooling centers, not hyperscale data centers. No, I mean, I go to the library a lot because I want to cool off, okay? And I think we need cooling centers, not data centers. Now, you're all aware of this, is the Colorado has this non-attainment zone. It's in this severe area where our lungs and our asthma and our breathing and all of that is being impacted by all of the oil and gas that's coming out of here, and all the cars that are coming out of here. So half of the ozone is coming from cars, half of it is coming from oil and gas. Key thing is to understand that this has all been debated at the legislature, and there were two bills that were introduced, and neither one of them passed. The good one was to create guardrails for energy and environmental guardrails. The other one was pushed by the industry to like hand over money to them, even though we've got this big budget shortfall. They both failed, and so the issue is what's going to happen in 2027. And so and there's the things that's going on in the Public Utilities Commission where they're trying to make sure that the electric ratepayers are not footing the bill for data centers. The good news is this: in the lack of a legislative fix to this, the local communities are stepping up, and this is where you all, if you want to really step up, it would be at the local level. Look at all these things that have happened just in the past 6 weeks. Okay, all of these communities. This is the good news. Okay, and then the false solutions, I'm not going to spend time on it, except to say that people talk about it. Well, what about small modular reactors? Well, there are no small modular reactors. They don't even exist. Okay, so it's like it's a fantastical, expensive, insane discussion. Same thing is happening with geothermal energy. It would be wonderful if it happened, but look at all that hot water that you have to introduce down to that heat to be able to make steam. This is not going to make any sense either. There's zero geothermal electric power being generated in Colorado. That's not because we haven't thought about the idea. There's reasons why we don't do geothermal. And lastly, on the false solutions is this thing called fusion. Yeah, right. 10 times hotter than the core of the sun. They're supposed to contain that. Yeah. But we're throwing billions of dollars at that. And this is what's going to impact everybody is this insanity of trying to think the United States is in some kind of an AI war with China, and that one of these is going to win the fight. There's no defining what wins the AI war. A lot of it is just kind of like this enthusiasm. And what concerns me now, and I'm shifting away from the technology and the energy and environment over to the financial structure, is that we could be seeing an economic bubble that could be popped. So with that, if you want to learn more about this and you want to see what I have to say about this, all you have to go is to YouTube, type my name in and the word data centers, and you'll see an hour and 15 minutes of detailed discussion about what's going on in Colorado. So thank you, and you could be in touch with me just by hitting that, just by emailing me. So I'll stop sharing now, and if there is, I don't know if you've got time for questions, but if you do, happy to answer if I can.